This is the Rhein Ruhr Stadtbahn system in Germany. This is a public transport system which is huge. This is effectively several different cities' public transport systems all linking together into one massive system. This is joined up thinking, something that England simply cannot do. Now this includes the cities of Dortmund, Bochum, Gelsenkirchen, Duisburg, Krefeld and Dusseldorf. Now this contains Stadtbahns shown in blue, trams and metro trams shown in yellow, and Stadtbahns that look like metro trams shown in red. Now a Stadtbahn is a standard gauge high floor vehicle that can run through tunnels like a metro but can also go on the streets like a tram. Meanwhile, a metro tram is a meter gauge low floor vehicle as well as acting like a tram, can also go in metro tunnels. Yeah, those two things sound very similar, don't they? But there are some interesting differences, so let's take a look. Now today's video we're going from east to west. Over on the eastern end of the system is Dortmund, but that's an exclave. It's not really connected into the rest of the system. So I'm going to do a separate video of Dortmund. So let's now skip on to Bochum. Now Bochum's a small city and it's got both Stadtbahns and metro trams. But on the Stadtbahn, most of it's in a tunnel and the entire thing is grade separate. So even though it counts as Stadtbahn, I'm going to argue this is a higher grade. This is a full metro. This means that a little city of Bochum has a higher grade of transport than the big city of Dusseldorf. Bochum's system is fully grade separated when Dusseldorf's isn't. So let's take a ride on the Bochum Stadtbahn.
Ooh, that looks a bit nicer.
Bochum Rathaus Nord.
Let's press the button and see what it says.
16:23 Uhr. U35 Bochum Hustad in 6 Minuten.
Straße. Ausstieg rechts. Rhein Ruhr Straße. Ausstieg rechts.
So then, that's the Stadtbahn complete. Let's now take a ride on the Metro Tram. Let's ride a Metro Tram from Bochum to Gelsenkirchen.
ein. Jahrhunderthalle. Ausstieg links. Jakob-Meyer-Straße. Jahrhunderthalle. Ausstieg rechts.
So, here I am in Gelsenkirchen, which also has its own metro tram system. Let's take a ride on the Gelsenkirchen metro tram. And also in Gelsenkirchen, but it's also served by the Essen metro tram. So let's now ride a metro tram, which most of it, to be honest, is just a regular tram because most of it's on the street. Let's ride out from Gelsenkirchen to Essen.
I really don't like these bits. You have to walk across the road to get to your tram. It's the wrong way round. The open chime is for close and the closed chime's for open. That is just not right.
So then, here I am in Essen, which has got both metro trams and Stadtbahns. Now there's one very interesting part in Essen where the metro trams, which are meter gauge low floor vehicles, run on the same routes as the Stadtbahn, which is standard gauge high floor vehicles, meaning there's dual gauge track in a metro tunnel. That is interesting.
So that's the Stadtbahn platform where the standard gauge trains come in. And then if you go down the steps, it's the metro tram platform where the meter gauge trams stop. So look, here you can see you've got both meter gauge and standard gauge in one track. So trams go that way down to the lower platform, and Stadtbahns, where it says U, but it's U Stadtbahn rather than U-bahn, go that way to the higher platform. And there is a tram, so stopping on the lower platform, so that one's meter gauge rather than standard gauge.
So then, on the above ground sections, this tram stop, which is technically actually a Stadtbahn rather than a tram, even though it looks like a tram, this is standard gauge. In the middle, you can see this is also dual gauge. We also got meter gauge in the middle, but no trams run along this anymore. Only Stadtbahns now run on this section. Even though the Stadtbahn is actually a tram in this section. Yes, it does get very confusing. So let's now go along to the Essen to Mülheim Stadtbahn. This runs DLR trains from England. These are old Docklands-like railway trains from the 80s, and they're actually still running really well. I'd argue they're even running better than the current newer DLR trains in England. So that shows you how well Germany looks after their trains. Let's ride this DLR train along to Mülheim.
So that's Essen to Mülheim Stadtbahn with the DLR train. This over here is Mülheim Metro Tram, and it's not working. This is my luck. Metro Tram is not running.
So, sadly, the Mülheim Metro Tram was not running, so I didn't get to go on it, which was very annoying. But anyway, let's now go along to Oberhausen, where there is the combined tram and busway. This is a segregated route with both trams and buses running along it, and it's the only tramway running on the road I've ever seen if the tram goes faster than 30 miles an hour. But the trams were not running, which is so annoying. But luckily the buses were still running. So let's take a ride on a bus. So then, now we go to the next city, which is Duisburg. And the underground stations in this city look quite run down and a bit rough. So take a look here, you can see there's two levels of platform, for trams on the lower platform and Stadtbahns on the higher platform. But notice there's only standard gauge track. That means the trams are actually standard gauge in Dortmund. But anyway, let's now take a ride on a Stadtbahn from Dortmund to Dusseldorf. So, along into Dusseldorf, and this is what the underground Stadtbahn stations look like. Let's now take a ride on a newer model of Stadtbahn train. So, let's now take a look at... So, now we reach a point where the definitions between a metro tram and a Stadtbahn now get very blurred, because in Dusseldorf the regular street running trams are standard gauge. There's no meter gauge vehicles in Dusseldorf. Now recently Dusseldorf has opened a new bit of Stadtbahn. There's a brand new modern underground tunnels with very posh underground stations. This has standard gauge low floor vehicles, and apparently this counts as a Stadtbahn, even though these vehicles are equally compatible with the rest of the tram system here, and a low floor when Stadtbahns are meant to be high floor, so yeah, the definitions don't make sense. Basically, this is a metro tram style Stadtbahn. Let's take a ride on it. And here is running on the tramway section. And here is a faster countryside part of the route. take a look at the regular street running trams in Dusseldorf.
Oh, here goes Google. Google Street View time.
So then, that's the Rhein Ruhr Stadtbahn and Metro Tram railways complete. Let's now finish off the video with some other types of train in the region. Let's take a look at the Rhein Ruhr Express. These trains are absolutely epic. Some carriages are single deck and some carriages are double deck. The single deck carriages is where the motors are housed, and these trains are fast.
Sehr geehrte Fahrgäste, Ihre Rechte als Fahrgast bei Verspätungen oder Zugausfällen finden Sie im Internet unter www.nationalexpress.de.
Go 100 mile an hour. The thing is, after a while, yes, you get used to his speed and his speed just feels normal, but as soon as I'm back in England, England's trains are going to feel so slow by comparison.
So let's now finish off this video with the most weird but fun train in Dusseldorf, which is the Dusseldorf Dangle Train. This is a H-Bahn system. This is the Dangle Train version of the Siemens Vowel system. It goes 30 miles an hour, it runs on rubber wheels in the guideways above the train, and it is absolutely fascinating.
cam periculos în Dusseldorf. O seară care era la spicat. Nu știa cum. Și zice că e periculos și normal.